Do you want a black pen?
I already signed
Okay.
two of them. Those the only two?
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 6:46 PM and a quorum of members is present, so the meeting of the Board of Education of the School District of New Berlin is called to order. Please call the roll.
Ms. Crosby.
Here.
Mr. Helmer.
Here.
Mr. Kurth.
Here.
Ms. Scholes.
Here.
Mr. Seidel.
Here.
Ms. Unger.
Here.
Ms. Wondercheck.
I did not hear back from Ms. Wandercheck, so I'm not sure if she'll be attending tonight or not for sure. Then I need a motion to recess to closed session.
Madam President, I move to recess into closed session pursuant to Section 19.851C E and F of the Wisconsin statutes to consider A, the approval of closed session minutes of February 28th, B, employment services report, C, discuss referral bonuses, D, contract negotiations regarding naming rights to facilities.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Kurth and a second by Mr. Helmer. Please call the roll.
Mr. Kurth.
Yes.
Mr. Helmer.
Yes.
Ms. Crosby.
Yes.
Ms. Scholes.
Yes.
Ms. Seidel. Mr. Seidel, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Ms. Unger. Reading ahead.
Time for a haircut.
We are moving into closed session and will return to open session around 7 o'clock. It is now 7:01, and we are returning from closed session to open session. In recognition of the serious and important nature of our efforts here, we will join in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. For all those who are able, please rise. And now, for those who wish to prepare for the meeting, we will have a moment of silence. This is a public meeting of the Board of Education. Prior to this meeting, notice was given to the public last Friday by providing the agenda to the City Library. The agenda was also posted on the district website. A copy of the agenda was forwarded to the Journal-Sentinel, the Waukesha Freeman, and the Waukesha Now, all of which have filed requests for all public notices. We'll begin tonight with recognitions. We have a couple up for Deca and the Decathlon.
I'd like to ask Athletics and Activities Director Jordan Napoli to please come up.
Thank you for having us. Tonight we have this special opportunity to really celebrate two groups that consistently do an amazing job in our school, both Academic Decathlon and Deca, which I frequently crisscross with who's who because they're just so close. But both have done absolutely amazing jobs this year. A lot to celebrate from a state side of things and then international competitions, which I'm going to let Melissa and I'm going to let Nicole talk a little bit about. But we're going to start with Deca, and we'll bring up Melissa Bonson to speak on behalf of her kids.
Thank you. It's nice to see you guys. Really, Deca, if you don't know what Deca is, it prepares emerging leaders for careers in hospitality, management, finance, marketing, and business administration. I've been a Deca advisor for 17 years, and this year we did phenomenal. The kids worked really hard, especially last year in a more difficult year, to kind of keep programming up when people weren't sure what it was going to look like. And this year was the payoff. So we received numerous awards. We had a 90% increase in our membership this year from last year, which was huge. We have over 100 members at both the middle school and the high school levels. We pulled off successful father-daughter dance that was district-wide for event planning purposes. And we've done multiple fundraisers where we were recognized for acts of kindness, raising the fourth most money for muscular dystrophy in the state, and just various other awards. So really proud of this group. Unfortunately, two of my officers couldn't come because they're those kids that are in everything, which is awesome, and really try to promote cross-curricular, doing well in school, and activities too. So without further ado, I'd like to well, first of all, I'm supposed to introduce myself. I'm also your incoming athletic and activities director for here at New Berlin West starting next year. So I'm excited to take on that role too. And without further ado, I'd love to introduce our students. So a first-year competitor, sophomore Sebastian Correa, he earned third place overall at the state Deca competition in Principles of Finance. Perfect. Okay, also a first-year competitor at the high school level, but was last year our first ever middle school Deca president, Vivian Din participated in Principles of Business Management and Administration, earning 7th place, qualifying for the international competition next month. And last but not least, one of our senior Deca officers, first time competitor. I had to think through that. She also competed in an event retail merchandising, but actually ultimately won with her entrepreneurship startup business plan, Elizabeth Soini. Thank you.
Yeah, can we have you slide over here so we can get pictures of you with coaches?
All right, next up, I want to speak a little bit on behalf of Nicole Thompson and Academic Decathlon. They've been killing it for a number of years now, and Nicole and her crew put in a lot of time and energy throughout the season. So it was awesome to see that all come to fruition this year, and I'm going to let her talk about the details, but they have a lot to celebrate and be proud of. So without further ado, Nicole Thompson.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Like Jordan said, my name is Nicole Thompson. This is my 6th year coaching Academic Decathlon. If you're not super familiar with what Academic Decathlon is, the reason it's called Decathlon is because there's 10 subjects in which the kids compete, and every year the national organization picks a theme. So this year's theme that we studied was water, and so we studied social studies related to water, looking at like water systems throughout the world and how water has shaped civilizations. We looked at marine biology. We looked at some artwork that was related to water, music pieces related to water, et cetera, et cetera. And so the students study all of that and then essentially take multiple choice tests. That's what ACDEC comes down to, is multiple choice testing. But it's beyond that because they also do an interview, a speech, and write an essay related to the content that we've studied. It's pretty intense and pretty rigorous, and the kids really have worked very hard. We had practices twice a week, every week, totaling like 5 hours on top of class. And they really put in the time, and for the first time ever, we ended up being Division II champions this year. So I'm very, very proud of their success and achievement at our state competition this year. So I do have some certificates to help recognize them, and I'm just going to call them up, I think, in alphabetical order. I will also note that when I get to each kid, I can kind of recognize them for what in particular they shined in this year. So I'll help kind of mention that since we don't have specific categories that they qualified for internationals like with Deca, but I'll help highlight them that way. So first up is Angel. Angel, if you want to come on up. So Angel is a sophomore on our team, and she competed last year as a freshman as well. And Angel works incredibly hard and has such a passion for our literature selections. She ultimately got an award, though, in science, which we were a little bit surprised by, but very excited by this year. And yeah, she loves ACDEC through and through. So that's Angel. Go over there. Are you going by Napoli? Yeah. All right. A name you already have heard this evening, Sebastian Correa keeps very busy with both Deca and ACDEC. If you want to come on up, Sebastian. Yeah, you can go up there. Sebastian was an alternate this year, but actually came to all of our art of school practices and was an extremely dedicated member of our team, also a sophomore. So I'm very appreciative of all the hard work that he put in. Next up is Ben Dietert. Ben joined as a sophomore. He's now a senior, kind of at the last minute because we needed someone to join the team before state. But he has worked really, really hard and kind of found a passion in a number of different categories, and I think surprised himself with all he's accomplished through ACDEC. So very proud of all he's achieved in his 3 years now competing. All right, another name you've heard already this evening is Vivian Din. What did you get an award in, speech? So Vivian is a freshman, and it's hard to make our team as a freshman, ultimately, but Vivian made it, and as an honors competitor, and she actually medaled in our state competition in the essay competition, so we're very proud of her for that, and yeah, congrats, Vivian. All right, hi, Jin Eng, you are up next. So Hygiene is a senior, and she spent 2 years on our team. Very, very passionate about science, but ultimately didn't get an award in that, as frustrated as she is by that. She did get awards in math and literature at the state competition, and really put in a lot of great effort and helped our team understand a lot more about marine biology this year. Double applause for everyone. All right, up next is Marcus Hernandez. Marcus is also a sophomore, and it is his second year competing on our team. He won an award at state for math, which he was very surprised by, but honored to receive nonetheless. And he has just been a great, I think, sense of comedic relief on our team, and just a great presence throughout the last 2 years. All right, Alex Johnson. So Alex is a senior. He has been in this since he was a sophomore, but this is his first year competing. And he actually won out of the entire state. He won first place in interview at our regional competition, earning him a scholarship. And we were very, very proud of him for that achievement this year. So. Jackson Muth was not able to be here tonight. He's working at COPS, but I do want to recognize him. We're going to go see him after and get some custard. But he won an award in math and an award in economics this year, which are his 2 favorite subjects by far. So we'll clap in Jackson's absence. All right, up next is Montserrat Perez. Monse was an alternate this year as well, and she has been a member of ACTEC since her sophomore year, I think, yeah, and has made some awesome contributions and also been a great source of comedic relief, I think, on our team. All right, up next is Matthew Sundarajan. Kind of like Ben a few years ago, Matt was our saving grace this year when we were short a member, and we were all the way living close to regionals, and we needed someone to join. So Matt stepped in and helped us a lot with understanding different math concepts, some different science concepts, and really just stepped up to the plate when we needed somebody. So thank you, Matt. All right, and last but not least, we have our captain, Logan Underwood. Logan has been a member of ACTEC since he was a freshman, and actually his big brother was part of the founding team that we started out in 2016 it was, when we restarted our program. Logan has worked incredibly hard, winning awards throughout the years in art and language and literature are his 2 favorite topics. And he was our top scoring scholar on the team this year, also earning him a scholarship from the state ACTEC organization. So. And that is it. So thank you so much, guys, for your time. Appreciate all the support you give to our program. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and congratulations and good luck on internationals for Deca. Now we have a privilege of the floor. Meetings of the board are conducted for the purpose of carrying on the business of the schools, and therefore are not public meetings, but meetings held in public. And as of now, I don't have anybody that's speaking tonight. There is? There's one. Oh, here, it's hiding. All right. So we do have one speaker. This portion of the meeting is an opportunity for you to come and voice your concerns to the board. So please do not be offended when we quietly listen. We may even take notes. We do not immediately respond to your questions and comments. This is a time for you to talk and us to listen. Thank you for coming to voice your comments and concerns. When I call your name, please step up to the microphone, address the chair, and state your name and whether or not you are a resident of this school district. Each presentation is to be restricted to a maximum of 3 minutes. Privilege of the floor will be limited to 1/2 hour. Presentations are not to be designed for purposes of engaging others in a debate in this forum. Discussion of certified, classified, or professional personnel or of individual Board of Education members shall not be considered an appropriate topic for this forum, and the speaker will be ruled out of order. Charlotte Krupa.
Hello, Mr. Garza and the New Berlin School District Board members. My name is Charlotte Krupa, and I am a New Berlin citizen and a member of the school district. This evening, I am here to give you an outline of what the New Berlin West Girls Soccer Booster Club has lined up for the upcoming girls soccer season, of which I am the president. We will begin our season with tryouts during the week of March 21st, and since this is spring break, if there are players that are unable to make the tryouts as scheduled, the coaches encourage the players to reach out to them. Our parent meeting is scheduled for March 28th, and we are very excited to announce that we will host the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point head women's coach Dawn Crow. Dawn Crow is a 4-time national champion at Division I Powerhouse, North Carolina, and a former U.S. national team player. We are very excited that she said yes to coming to our parent meeting. If parents and players would like to find out what playing at the next level is all about, please plan on attending this meeting at the New Berlin West, March 28th, 7 p.m. in the Little Theater. We will be having a fan t-shirt sale and a Raising the Stakes fundraiser during the first week of practice. Fundraising helps to cover the costs of the other events planned for the girls' team, like the socks that complement the school uniform for all the JV and varsity players, parent and senior nights, senior banners for the fence on Cleveland Avenue, and the banquet at the New Berlin Ale House scheduled in June. The New Berlin West girls soccer team will open their season with a tournament on April 9th, and then it is on to a home game against Brown Deer on Monday, April 11th. Our competitive Dillet tournaments are back for 2022, the weekends of April 29th and 30th, and the weekend of May 6th and 7th. New this year, we are having a food truck, Ride and Shine, during the tournament games. This may encourage parents and players to stay at the fields between the games. You can find more about the food truck by using the website riseandshinefoodbus.com. Every year we have a parent night during the halftime of the home game versus Milwaukee Lutheran on May 11th. Our dedicated soccer parents will be honored. A shout out to Jordan Napoli for helping to MC this event in the past. Our time-honored tradition of the New Berlin West versus New Berlin Eisenhower match is called the charity game. The school where the game is going to be played, the home team decides on a charity to be represented for the game, and they encourage participation by the opposing team. This year, the New Berlin West hosts the charity game. We have chosen the New Berlin Food Pantry as our charity, keeping it local. During the game, we will be collecting donations of food, having a 50-50 raffle, and a possible t-shirt purchase. All these events will benefit the New Berlin Food Pantry. We encourage all of New Berlin to attend an evening of girls soccer at the new OHOW Athletic Complex. Our last home game will include a farewell to our senior players. Our senior night, sorry, I'm gonna get a little teary because my daughter's a senior. Our senior night will include halftime recognitions and a game gift presentation and a cake celebration. We have 10 graduating seniors this season. These players have been fun to watch, have been committed to academics and the game of soccer, and we will miss them, but encourage them to become their best selves in the future. Sorry about that. A little bit emotional. The New Berlin West girls soccer team will recognize all the players of the season at our annual soccer banquet in June. A slideshow will provide fun game shots, and our coaches will host the event for players and parents to enjoy. This is my last year with the girls soccer program at New Berlin West. My daughter Cassidy is a senior and will attend the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point with her sister Hannah. It will be fun for me to see them play together again in the fall. I know I will come watch games here at West and Ike and high schools because soccer is definitely one of my biggest passions. Thank you. Sorry about the tears.
Thank you. Up next, President's Message. I originally hadn't planned on saying anything, but we've heard about so many great activities and athletics for our schools here, and I just came from a robotics meeting prior to this, and the teacher advisor was just saying that he really wants to get the word out about the robotics team, and so I felt like, well, I probably should say something here tonight. So they are competing in their regional. It's the First Robotics Wisconsin Regional coming up March 25th through 26th at UWM Panther Arena. And this includes students from both Ike and West from grades 7 through 12. And it's been a really amazing opportunity for students who are interested in STEM and even just business. They're able to get a lot of experience in that area. So just wanted to get the word out for them. Up next is the administrative team report.
We will actually start by having our New Berlin West admin team please come up. And we will be doing a New Berlin West school update and building tour, followed by Emily's update from New Berlin West, and then a brief update from me.
And I did promise Joe that we would take a building tour all the way to the rooftop so we could see the solar panels. So if you're interested in that, it's warm enough now, we might be able to get there. My name is Michael Fesmer. I'm proud to be the principal at New Berlin West, and thank you for your message, and thank you for your support of our programs throughout the year. It's parents like those that make our school what it is, along with their students and along with our staff. We have the opportunity tonight, along with my colleagues, and Trudy's going to walk out as soon as she's done speaking, because her second youngest, I get those two mixed up. Second youngest has had an accident, and we just don't know how bad it is. So she's going to go see what's going on there in just a few minutes. May have broken his arm. That's what we heard. With that, a couple things just before I start. With our Deca program, I just want to highlight a couple other things. She mentioned the increase in enrollment. We're seeing that increase in our coursework as well. Not only high school, but the benefit of that middle school Deca program and the involvement of students at the middle school level has been tremendously positive. So they've done a really, really nice job with our marketing program through that. The other thing is academic decathlon. I'm not sure she highlighted that as well as she should. We competed in Division II this year. Sometimes we're Division III, sometimes we're Division II. We've won Division III in the past. But I believe she failed to mention that we were the 4th highest scoring team in the state. And when you look at the level of competition in Wisconsin, those teams are winning or competing at the national level every year. So that level of competition that they performed at this year and the level of performance that they had this year was absolutely outstanding. I think Eisenhower was in Division III, and we're always either the smallest team in Division II or the largest team in Division III, and we flip-flop depending upon our school enrollment. So really great. Eisenhower won Division III. We won Division II this year. It's been flipped before. So with that, I will jump into our presentation. You're going to hear from each of the 4 of us. The first thing that we want to talk about is some of our work in the building related to academics and literacy. So you'll see up there that our goals really target the increase in student performance. So we're always looking at our student growth. And we look at the FastBridge assessment, which is our growth assessment. That's given 3 times throughout the year for our students, and that's given to students in grade 3 through 9, or 7 through 9. 3% improvement by the time we get to the spring assessment for our subgroups is really what we're looking for. I'm going to show you some data that shows that we're moving definitely in the right direction related to that. The other one that we won't know for a little bit of time is to raise a cumulative score for students who score 20 or less in the ACT, 3 points or more on the final ACT exam. That ACT was just given, if anybody has a junior, you know this, last week. So that was an exciting day for some students, some of our students, a very nerve-wracking day where they took that ACT exam as a group. Just some other data to touch on. This I thought was an interesting statistic. We rolled this back 10 years, so 2012, 13, all the way up to this year, and you'll see the number of students who took advanced placement, the number of students who took dual enrollment, and then the overall enrollment in high school. So it gives you the percentage of students who are touching on some of these post-secondary options, dual credit options, whether they be advanced placement or other, and you look at the real key to me is the percentage on the bottom. Moved from 42% in 12-13 up to 70+% of our students who are taking advantage of post-secondary options at some point during high school. And I just thought that was a great statistic. So when we think about whether our students are or are not taking advantage of those post-secondary courses that we offer, We definitely are. Then when we go back to that fast bridge, you'll see that 7th grade, 8th grade, and 9th grade, and that 9%, 5%, and 4% shows the movement very simply out of the red portion of that chart and into the green portion of that chart. So it's students moving from the risk level into performing at the level that we would expect them to. Remember, our goal was 3% by the spring, so you'll see that 7th grade made a very significant jump by the winter, 8th grade and 9th grade as well, but 7th grade, a phenomenal jump from the fall to the winter, and then obviously we hope for continued improvement as we move winter to spring. When we look at that, we did target 2 different groups of students. We had 65 students in what we would classify in the high risk area, and you'll notice that in that movement from fall, where the percentages were, to the winter, we've got 8.3% that moved all the way into the low risk category. So that's a movement really of 2 levels of performance. And then we also are targeting a group that were near college ready. So they were in the 60th to 70th percentile of performance. And our goal was to try and move them into that upper tier of performance. And you can see the difference, again, from advanced fall with 49% to winter at 75%. So another big jump there. So we're seeing really, really good results from our students in these areas. Some of the things that we're doing, we have a literacy activity that's being done by our 10th graders. Each of our 10th graders is writing a children's book, and this children's book will be written and bound, and then it will be shared with our elementary students. So they go through the entire writing process when they do that. Again, curriculum connections to the ACT, and we won't see these results, but we have a direct tie in our English curriculum to ACT performance. So the numbers that our teachers were providing, again, they're not the formal assessment, showed an increase of 3 to 4 points on the ACT from that fall practice exam to the work that they were showing prior to the test, which sounds great. We'll find out what the actual ACT gives us in the end. In Ms. Butala's class each Friday, she has a guest reader, so any staff members who are reading books, she invites in to read to her class, and they can read a chapter. In here, you'll see a picture of Officer Straussen reading Giannis. That's one of the books that our students are interested in. I started reading, and I'm not all the way done yet, so I think I'm on target for a chapter later than what he read. But it's an opportunity for students to see that adults are reading as well. And then an initiative that we've really re-engaged this year is for our 7th and 8th graders, we have 10 minutes of choice reading that they do at the beginning of every flex, and if they're in study hall, we do it 10 minutes as well. So every single day, we know that we're engaging our middle school students in reading in some way. And now I'll turn it over to Trudy.
Thank you. So another area of focus within our building is on college and career preparation for students. And so one of the things that we've done is what we call Career Thursdays, and this was something that we started a couple years ago. And so we send out basically a survey to parents, local businesses to find out who might be interested in having somebody come in to speak to some of our students. So thus far in the school year, we've had 58 presenters come in, and we're able to run 20 different sessions related to that. We've had 251 students, high school students, attend those, and one of the things that we've really focused on this year, as in the year prior that we did this, is making sure that we hit multiple presenters in the different programs of study to make sure that we're getting all different interest levels of students. In addition, we've asked teachers to make sure that they're providing those opportunities and experiences within their classroom as well. And so far we've had 34 classroom opportunities, which has provided our students with 58 different class exposures, has reached 834 students, and you can kind of see the breakdown there for high school and middle school students. We've shared the list of presenters that have come in for Career Thursdays, because some of those same presenters are interested in coming back into some of our classes as well to kind of dive a little bit further in there. So the pictures just kind of outline some of the different presenters that we've had come in. In addition, we have a college and career readiness committee that just started this year. And one of the big focuses that they had this year was improving our course carousel for our middle school students. So what they did is they actually took some of the videos that were created in last year And they put them together on a document with the course numbers and things and shared that with students so they could go through and kind of pick out their courses alongside their advisory teacher. They had a planning document for them to use so they could go home and show those with their parents and have those conversations with parents as well. And then the elective classes planned visits, so the teachers came in and talked to some of the students about the elective options that they might have going into 8th grade or going into high school, so that students, if they had questions, could get those questions answered as well. Another area of focus during advisory is on some transitional skills for students post-secondary. So one of the things that our seniors kind of always participate in is Secure Futures, which kind of talks to them about credit cards and just financial type stuff after they graduate from high school. In 9th grade, they work with Junior Achievement on career success, which is really teaches them some skills as far as getting hired. So it teaches some of those soft skills. And then our 10th graders focus on financial literacy, which is another junior achievement program, which talks about some of the financial things that could impact them as well. Coming up in April on the test days, we always we kind of partner with some colleges and find some colleges that students might be able to go tour. So our juniors actually just recently, today, signed up for a college tour that they might be interested in. The colleges that some of them might be going to on that day are highlighted here. It just gives us an opportunity and our students an opportunity to go visit some of the college campuses that they maybe otherwise wouldn't be able to, just to see what that experience is like. And then we have Careers in Action, and students filled out this survey a couple Mondays ago. And what it does is it tries to gauge interest in any students that might be interested in going into an engineering, manufacturing, data science, IT, hospitality. Some of the businesses that are highlighted up here in the past have partnered with us so that we've been able to take some students on tours at some of these businesses so they can get a feel for what those are like as well. And now I'm going to turn it over to Greg.
Good luck to you. Good evening. This year at West, we have dedicated one of our building goals to enriching the culture and climate at West. Over the past 3 years, we have worked to find the best way to get open feedback from our students and tried a few different methods. This year, we have implemented Lunch with Admin, which has proved to be very effective. Monthly, we pull together a random group of approximately 10 students and have pizza at lunch with them. We open the floor to any topics that they would like to discuss, and it's really proved to bring up some really great ideas. As always, we have had many school spirit events this year that have been a huge success. Examples like Homecoming Crystal Ball are always there, but I'd like to highlight our musical, Mamma Mia. That literally took over the school for a brief period of time. It incorporated a week of school dress-up days, Mamma Mia music in the halls, and a preview of the musical during our flex session. This year we have had a renewed focus on our middle school students. Our staff has worked very hard to provide events in an effort to create a middle school atmosphere for them. These have included a movie at Marcus Theaters, Fun Flex Fridays, an Admirals game that we just went to last week, and upcoming an ice cream Sunday event the week before summer break. Shout out to New Berlin Culvers for donating all of the custard. And then lastly, I've always said that when you become a staff member at West, you join a family. Our Sunshine Committee reflects that each and every day of the year. From celebrating every staff member's birthday, even half birthdays, such as my own, when your birthday lands in the summer, to acknowledging the difficult stages of life when a staff member loses a loved one. Probably most impactful is the coordination of meals for staff members that become homebound. This year, one of our staff members who lives with just himself and his elderly father had a hip replacement and was out for 6 weeks. He and his father enjoyed daily hot meals dropped at his front door.
And I'm going to talk a little bit about our community connections that we've focused on throughout the year from both our athletics activities and different partnerships. So one of the first things that we'll talk about is really our outreach and all of the different community service organizations that have really made a lot of inroads throughout the year in holding different events or giving their service and different community connections. So to start the year, Deca they've really held a multiple multiple events throughout the fall. Trick or Can is probably the biggest thing that they've done. They raised 55 items for the New Berlin Food Pantry, and Ms. Bonson mentioned, they were awarded for that at the state Deca competition this year. They also partnered with Orchard Lane and Poplar Creek to do Make-A-Wish letters, in which every letter that they wrote, they have donors that actually give to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, so that was something cool that they both partnered with our elementary schools on. Spanish Honor Society held their annual gift drive for the children of Waukesha. National Honor Society has held 2 different blood drives throughout the year. Our Leader Academy and our National Honor Society partnered in what is called the What is Love project, where it basically sets up pen pal writing with Clement Manor residents at different nursing homes. And then our Chick-fil-A Leader Academy kids actually created some care bags for residents there, and we went and visited them over the holidays and just did some one-to-one visits, and that was kind of cool to see, and especially given the fact that just this past December was one of the first times that Clement Manor started allowing outside residents outside of small family groups in. So it was really cool to see an interaction like that happen. So that was really, really awesome to see. And then we did our 3rd annual holiday giving drive, and that is where almost all of the service organizations within our school kind of band together, and we all take the month of December to try to raise funds for families in need at New Berlin West. And we've partnered with the Blessing Box, which is a connection that's been made through our school, and Mr. Fesenmeyer's done a good job of really leveraging them for help as well. And our goal is always to raise $5,000 and then give that right back to students and families at New Berlin West. And then lastly, in June, New Berlin West staff and students will partner with the Education Foundation of New Berlin and other local charities to begin the first annual Peyton Alexander Memorial Golf Outing, and that's to give back to local charities and cancer research, as well as creating a scholarship fund in Peyton's name. In addition to those like service and outreach type of things that we have going on, we also have a lot of community events. And I would say that a lot of our student groups have done an excellent job in putting these on and putting on really high quality events. So again, Deca ran the Daddy-Daughter dance in conjunction with Eisenhower, and I believe it was the biggest dance that they've had to date. This is their 3rd or 4th year doing it. Our Spanish Honor Society held their Day of the Dead community event, which is held on a Sunday evening in the fall. National Honor Society held their 2nd annual community trick-or-treat. That was done in our field house. Just this past weekend, New Berlin West Baseball did their polar plunge and raised $5,000 for Special Olympics of Wisconsin. Later this spring, we have a couple of different ones that we have coming up. French Honor Society will hold a community Easter egg hunt out on our campus. Spanish Honor Society will hold an outdoor movie night in late May, which is always a lot of fun. They bring in food trucks, show a movie outside. Anybody can come. It's always a good time, unless it's raining. That's not ideal. But actually, we had a lot of people show up last year, a lot of middle schoolers. It was a blast. So anyway, Best Buddies will also have their annual friendship walk, so that'll be the 2nd year of doing that. So those are some of the community events that our groups have put on. And then lastly, our community partnerships. This year, really, we've been lucky to build a lot of momentum towards different partnerships with local businesses and naming rights opportunities. And I think the coolest thing of this has been, as we've worked through some of these community partnerships, we're now getting different coaches or parents and even Booster Club members that will come in and say, hey, I have a connection here. Can you talk to so-and-so? And it's actually kind of how some of these different relationships are being built, which is really, really awesome to see. Drexel Fieldhouse was our biggest one and the first one, and that kind of really got the ball rolling. Then we moved to the Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin and Aspen Orthopedics partnership with our soccer and baseball complex. Hopefully, later this evening, the school board may approve Optimum Crush softball field, which would be a really, really cool opportunity as well. And then some smaller deals that we had done with our annual Holiday Classic, which is a basketball tournament that we run throughout the holidays. Iron Jock Apparel and Marco's Pizza of New Berlin both partnered with us in a variety of ways to get that off the ground and basically made that event a no cost to us, so it was pure profit. So some really cool things going on, and hopefully some more as we continue to build upon it. So thank you very much.
That does conclude our presentation. Just touched on 4 different areas there: academics, kind of our cultural areas, a little bit what we're doing with career and those opportunities for students, and then more in our community areas. So if there are any questions, we're happy to respond to those.
I
But
think what we'll do is, if we have any questions, please feel free to ask while on the tour, just so that we can keep the meeting moving forward. So,
Okay.
And we're going to be up for a brief tour. The public is welcome. Patrick, please stay back. I need to chat with you briefly, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
you will not need coats. I promise I will not take you outside.
Tour. Thank you very much for that tour. And so we have next our secondary student representative update.
Thank you. In journalism, students have been working hard on their second issue of the year. The magazine will be out shortly after spring break. Some articles feature student mental health, student athletes with scholarships, and an update to our Verns Village Cafe. Last week, Tuesday, juniors took the ACT, and seniors had the opportunity to take a practice math placement test. Band, choir, and orchestra students participated in solo and ensemble. Students had the opportunity to perform in front of judges and receive feedback. Some students received a high score of 1A and will be moving on to state. This Wednesday, we will have the Best of West talent show in the PAC at 7 o'clock. We will have a spirit week to go along with the show. Come watch our students' special talents then. Last week, our forensics team became the Woodland Conference Small School and overall champions. New Berlin West is honoring Women's History Month with hallway music sung by women and hallway TV slides featuring important women. It is also Music in Our Schools Month. We have posters up to recognize the importance of music to our students. This month, middle school Deca is selling shamrocks to raise money for muscular dystrophy. Winter sports ended recently. NBW basketball player Noah Daniels is the new all-time leading scorer for the boys, so congrats to him. And Noah Daniels and Megan Schultz were able to join the 1,000-point club this season. Spring sports are starting up and things are looking good so far. And track and field will have their first indoor meet since 2019 in the Drexel Fieldhouse this Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, the superintendent update.
Yeah, just have a brief update and just wanted to remind the board that the community has recently received our mid-year newsletter, which all of you should have probably received. Highlights just some of the great things happening in the school district at this time. Certainly there are many more, and we would encourage you all and others to follow each of the schools and the district on social media so you can get in real-time updates and some more updates on what's happening directly in the classrooms. But again, just highlights a lot of the great things similarly mentioned in the West update tonight. So that's my update. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which includes the notice, the approved minutes of February 28th, and also the WIA cooperative agreement for girls hockey. Are there any items that should be pulled out for separate consideration? Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Helmer and a second by Mr. Kurth to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed? Motion passes. On to the regular agenda. First item on the regular agenda is the Esser update.
Yeah, so we really wanted to present this update to you. Number one is because we officially paid off the debt that was approved by the board a couple weeks ago. I did want to call you individually and thank you and buy you each a drink, but I didn't go that far. But we certainly were real happy when Patrick sent that payment off for that debt. We also wanted to provide you an update on the Esser dollars and kind of what that means and what it doesn't mean. So these are the key budget components. We're going to talk about fund balance. We're going to talk about the Esser funds or COVID-related relief funds, and then as well as long-term debt. And when we say non-ESCO, ESCO were the Fund 32 debt that had been previously approved for HVAC systems and so on. So let's specifically talk about fund balance. And again, this had already been approved by the board. So this is just a reminder. Please note that, of course, you're looking at the $4 million that was approved for the callable debt. There's more than $4 million there, and that's because we carried over funds because of expenses that were carried over due to supply chain issues and or just accounting purposes that crossed two different budgets. Esser, again, otherwise known as COVID relief funding for school districts. This is what they are used for. You've seen this slide before. I'm not going to get into the detail of it. But just wanted to clarify a couple things as far as updates go related to Esser funds. One, please note that we believe that there are no strings attached to these dollars, that when we get them, and there's nothing specifically attached of what we as a school district need to do differently other than supporting our students based off of what I mentioned in the previous slide. So supporting our students related to their student learning. With, again, no specific, like, this is the specific program you need to be able to provide related to social, emotional, and all the other things. It's, do what you need to do as an independent school district. So we have local control of those dollars. So as of now, that's what we know at this point. But I did want to highlight that the first line on this slide is previously we had shared with you that we had conservatively budgeted the dollars that were going to be allocated to us. We had presented to you that we were anticipating approximately $4 million. We are now anticipating almost $5 million, $4.8 million, based on some things that have happened over the course of the last couple of months. And let me get into that here briefly. Esser 1 and Esser 2 are actually relatively the same from what we have presented to you before, where the almost $1 million difference is related to mainly Esser 3. And then I did want to talk about Esser 3 specifically related to the district supplemental per pupil amount and the district supplemental in-person instruction amount. As you know, I was extremely disappointed with how the dollars had been allocated and the impact that it had on the school district of New Berlin, particularly related to Esser 1. We ended up getting a minimal amount of dollars for Esser 1 compared to other school districts, especially school districts that were actually not even attempting to be open. I had conversations with several of our local legislators and representatives and encouraged them to do something about districts that actually needed the dollars because we were actually open. So when you talk about COVID relief, we were the ones that were opening our doors. Again, at the time, there were certain mitigation factors that we took into place. Certainly those things changed over time, but we made an effort to get open and stay open. And we have done that. And I believe we did it successfully. So where you're going to see a major impact of that is if you look at Esser 3, the third bullet point, the legislature passed a specific piece in their legislation in the budget related to district supplemental in-person instruction. And that is where we ended up getting a nice leg up because of the fact that we were open. And again, I'm really proud of our efforts in working with our local legislators. I certainly want to thank Dale Kuyenga, Julian Bradley, and Joe Sanfilippo and Mike Kugelich. Ends up Dale Kuyenga was also on the Joint Finance Committee, and he made a major push in these efforts to, and he heard our story. He knew of the story that we had, and we were pushing to stay open. And we've got a great working relationship with our local representatives, and it was able to actually make into fruition. And so, do want to clarify a couple things. These are still estimated dollars. They're estimated dollars. We believe the dollars are going to be pretty close to this. We're pretty confident in the dollars. There's still some things that need to be approved between. They've been approved by the DOE, but they have yet to be approved by DPI as far as the allocations and how they're going to be dispersed. Not what, but how. And we expect to hear back probably sometime this summer of how and when that's going to happen. But, again, it's not so much the how much, it's the how will it all kind of come together and be pulled together through DPI. I do want to also mention that of course, you're not going to have, like Milwaukee Public Schools, they're going to have their Esser dollars solidified, mainly because they don't have the supplemental pieces that we're getting because we were open and they were not. So, so you may hear in the news over the course of the next several months that, hey, Esser dollars have been solidified by many districts in southeast Wisconsin or throughout Wisconsin. That will likely be the case, but because we were one of not all districts in the state that were open, we're kind of waiting for that supplemental piece. So again, those are some of the things that have changed in this slide since last we've presented them to you. I believe this is something, again, that had been shared previously. We're talking about non-ESCO debt, and we actually just set that aside because there's just, things are just different with the non-ESCO pieces. There's payback programs that are worked through that specific debt, and those are typically ROI-related issues that go with that. But again, this had been shared with the board previously. And then, we made that debt payment, which, March 1st, 14 days ago, you had approved this several months back, and it actually is now happening. We were able to save not only the future dollars to be able to reallocate to Fund 41, and these are the next 3 years that the board's already actually approved through our capital maintenance planning projects, but it frees up dollars to fund our facilities planning. And we saved on the interest as well. So this one to me is somewhat eye-opening. And again, I just ask you to, when you look at this, you may look at it and say the numbers don't add up. We're using round numbers. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars here. So yeah, when you're doing the math, it's not going to come exactly. But, you look at this. This is what we presented to you the summer of 2019. And, you look at the last 3, 4, 5 years, look at those numbers real close. And then also look at the total amount down on the lower right-hand corner. And then look at it today. It's a significant difference. A couple years have already been paid, and then the debt in the operating budget over the course of the next several years is lowered substantially. We're looking at almost a $13 million difference in debt. So substantial changes based off of our work and the board approving it, and really proud of this work. We've already talked to the board about this, but to project out 5 years on what we're going to do in 5 years is really difficult to do when you're talking 2 more biennial budgets between now and then. But we're holding our powder dry. We do have money in our reserves in order to, essentially do what we need to do when that time comes. And again, just and then I did want to go back to the callable debt. I thought that was in here as far as future debt.
I thought that was in another presentation. It wasn't. Was it? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. What is going on? I don't know why it won't stop there. Okay. Well, we've got future callable debt, and the next round of callable debt is in 2027. So when I say keep our powder dry for the next 5 years, we will. We know where the board wants to go. They want to bring that debt amount down, and we're going to continue to plan for that behind the scenes. But we have to take it budget by budget, biennial, and when I say budget by budget, our own budget year to year, as well as the state budget, and you're talking 2 biennial budgets between now and then. But again, we know where the board wants us to go as it relates to the potential spend down of that debt. So again, just an update, but again, something that we should all be very proud of, and now not just you approving it, but the action has taken place now. So again, we thank you for that. Any questions that we can answer at this time, Patrick or myself?
I've got a couple questions, unless somebody else wants to go first. You were looking at, I said unless you want to go first. I didn't know if you. Oh, okay. So thanks, Joe. On slide 6, regarding the Esser funds, you said that these are not final numbers, right? We've got the Department of Education has finalized their numbers that are being allocated to states, but the in-state distribution has not been finalized by DPI, is what you indicated, right? So where did these calculations come from? Did the DPI release some projections or calculations for districts, and that's how we arrived at these numbers? Or how did we get these numbers then if the DPI hasn't fully decided?
So the numbers that are here are the numbers based on the DPI's revision of the plan that came from the Joint Finance Committee that was rejected by the U.S. Department of Education, the DOE.
Okay.
So when I say that these numbers still have to be solidified, I have a lot of confidence in these numbers because this was the plan that was revamped by the Department of Public Instruction. But I'm a fiscal conservative, and so if the plan has been written by DPI and it goes to the Department of Education and it's approved, it still has to go back to DPI for the final allocation. And so that's why I say these are the numbers that we have right now, and I have every confidence that these are going to be the final numbers. It still has to be actually put into WISE grants, so.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, Patrick, that these numbers are based on a revision that was derived from DPI's rejection of their initial proposal to DOE, which was rejected, and they revised based on that rejection. And these numbers are based on that new revision from DPI. But it's not
correct.
Passed muster yet by DOE, just because
Yes,
it hasn't.
it has passed. The Department of Education has approved this.
Okay.
Now it has to go back to DPI for final allocation.
Okay, that helps me. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And then, Joe, I had one other question on slide 7, which is where we've got the total long-term debt. So I believe on this, based on this slide, that the total of our long-term debt after that payment was made on March 1st is this $17,215,000, not including the ESCO loans.
Yeah, and again, if you look at the two slides, this is where we were.
Right, yeah.
Bottom right-hand total, and then this is the new amount here.
Right, and those are the annual allocations of what we put in our budgets, right, as far as what we would pay on an annual basis. My question is, what is the non-ESCO debt at? I'm sorry, what is the ESCO debt at? I apologize. How much do we owe on our ESCO debt? I missed that.
We did not report what we have on the ESCO debt.
Yeah,
That's something that I can provide to Joe, and he can send it out in a board update. The thing with ESCO debt, okay, is because of the revenue limit exemptions that we get for ESCO debt, it really does not, there isn't a
There's no incentive to pay it.
There's no incentive, there's no benefit to pay that off.
Prepay it.
Correct. Sure. And the other issue with that is because ESCO debt is tied up in essentially board action and legal action that is done with DPI. They don't have the ability to sort of rewrite that or adjust that. Because if you remember back a few years ago, there was kind of this is your last opportunity to do any ESCO debt. Mm-hmm. At that point in time, DPI has frozen all of those resolutions. We can't have a new resolution for something that they don't allow anymore. Sure. So when you're refinancing, if you were to refinance ESCO, it creates some future.
Sure, and I'm not suggesting that we refinance ESCO, mm-hmm. Patrick. What I'm asking is, because I've gotten the question from taxpayers, how much are we in debt? And that is part of the calculation, is how much we owe in non-ESCO debt, how much we owe in ESCO debt. So if you could just get me that number, that would be great.
We can do that. That's a loaded question, though, because it's not that simple.
I understand that, but I think that the question continues to be asked, and I feel like we've got a duty to try to answer it the best we can.
Yeah, and again, that's what part of this presentation does.
Sure, right, absolutely. But
clarifies the incredible job that this board's done to bring down the debt that we have had and that we anticipated, and it's something that we should certainly be proud of.
Sure, I agree. I think we've also been very fortunate in the kind of federal aid that we've gotten. I think that's helped us. It's helped our situation.
I wouldn't call that necessarily luck. I'd call it advocacy, first of all.
Sure.
And then secondly, I'd also call it, for example, other districts around us with regard to busing contracts for paying their bus companies when they didn't operate. We did not, because of the way that we structured our contract.
Sure, which is really great.
We also essentially froze spending during COVID, or at least when we were shut down. And you also have to remember, we also cut $1 million plus out of the budget 3 or 4 years ago. So I wouldn't call that luck. I would call that strategic, and certainly proud of our efforts, and Patrick and the team, and again the support of the board as well.
Sure, and I think that at the end of the day, what I was asking for, Joe, is just a bottom line for what do we owe.
But I did just hear you say that it was luck.
Yeah, I'd
it
like
was.
to clarify.
I said, here's the thing. I think there is a certain amount of good fortune, and there's a certain amount of strategic planning. I think that's a fair place to land.
What federal funding did we get? I don't understand that.
All the Esser funds.
Those Esser funds are not received. It was just discussed.
But we're talking about, Mitch, I'm sorry, we're talking about how much money we're going to receive, and some we have received.
Yeah,
from
but that
like
doesn't
Esser
impact any
1.
previous budgets.
Sure.
That money's never been received.
I don't know that this really has to be a debate.
That's what I'm trying to understand.
I certainly wasn't suggesting that it was a debate. I think that it's great that we receive some money from some government agencies. I think it's great that we plan strategically for some certain things. And I think that all those things are very lovely. I certainly don't take away from any of that. And I didn't intend to, engender a debate here. I don't think that's where this presentation was going.
And I didn't mean to debate. I just wanted to clarify that it wasn't just a matter of luck or good fortune.
And
it was very strategic.
And that is well received.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then if you can just get me that ESCO number, that'd be great. That's
Will
all
do.
I'd like. That'd be great.
Any other discussion? Now, on these Esser funds, they are very specific, though, as to what we can use them for. So it's not just like it's going into our budget and being able to use for anything, correct?
I thought that Joe said that we had a free hand on most of it.
They're restricted, but they're very broad buckets. So, for example, quite honestly, like we've got this big ELA realignment that we're doing. That's going to be anywhere between $800,000 and $900,000. We can use ESSER dollars for that. So basically, we can actually supplant the budget as opposed to having to supplement with something that we may or may not need. And so these buckets, in my opinion, are broad enough where we can take the dollars, allocate them for dollars we were going to spend anyway, and again, that frees up more dollars for the district, in my opinion.
And let me clarify, the reason for this federal money is because the federal government closed schools for 3 months. This is to try to get our kids back up to speed.
The federal
as
government
well as,
didn't close schools.
I'm sorry, Crystal.
The federal government didn't close
The
schools.
state closed schools for the past 3 months. And as we opened up, there's PPE and getting kids back up, and other schools were shut down. That's what this funding is for. It's not just to fix budgets. It's to fix the damage that's been done on having kids out of schools, correct?
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we have a first read of the fundraising policies from the Finance Committee. Are there any questions on that?
Just as a point of clarification, we discussed this at the Finance Committee meeting. We took into account advice from our auditors on all of these policies, as well as the reason why the red line versions are in there is so that you can see what was changed on all of them. So, thank you.
Diane, I think you were going to ask about the reference to a related policy, 9700.
Yeah, so the one that so these are all first read. So we're not seeking approval tonight, but I would bring your attention to policy 5830 for student fundraising. If you go down to, 3/4 of the way through that policy, it does state all other fundraising shall be done in accordance with board policy 9700. We are still reviewing board policy 9700. So we will provide an update to the board in the next board update or in your next packet. The board can determine whether you want to table having any action on that approval of this specific policy pending what we're bringing to you related to policy 9700.
Right now, that was something I asked actually in committee, Joe. We have like I'm just going on memory, but I think we've got like a 9700.01 policy and 9700.02 policy, but we don't have a 9700 policy.
Exactly. That's what we're
something that I asked
trying
about.
to sort through to be able to move this policy
Sure.
forward. So we may need to remove this out of the approval at the next meeting.
I think that's
so
a
that
good
you
idea.
can get 9700 looked at, reviewed, and approved.
Right, because we can't reference a policy we don't have.
Yes.
That wouldn't make any sense.
You got it.
Okay, so let's delay the action on this one to not the next meeting, but the following meeting after.
Yep. And we'll have Patrick reach out to Ron as the finance committee chair to what they may or may not want to do, and or the finance committee then with it.
And then there's another first read Title I policy. Any questions on that? Okay, if any questions come up, should they be directed to the finance, to Mr. Seidel, or to administration?
I'm sorry, Jenna, I forgot.
ahead.
I did have one question.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
okay, sorry, I went too fast.
I didn't write it down, so I forgot.
All right.
In the federal funds policy, I just wanted to clarify the last paragraph where it's talking about kind of the restrictions of federal funds. Is that a legal restriction? Patrick, I don't know if you know, are those things we can't spend money on, and that's why they're clarified, similar to kind of the fundraising policy and the dietary requirements?
So I just want to make sure that you're referring to the paragraph that begins, no federal funds received by the district?
Yes.
Yes, that's why we have the policies from Neola, because they're putting in there the language that we need in order for.
Okay, so that is required of us, and that's why
That is
Neola put it
required
in
for
there. It's
federal
not.
funding.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for clarification? Okay, then we'll move on to the next one. We have discussed approved superintendent's contract modification in regards to compensation. So this was discussed by the board at our last school board meeting in executive session per closed meeting rules when it comes to contract negotiations. But now we have made a decision and we have a contract that's been drawn up. And so do I have a motion to approve the contract as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Let's see, I have a motion by Mr. Helmer and a second by Mr. Kurth to approve. Is there any further discussion on this? Okay, then all those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed? Motion passes. And then we do have some other action items from closed session. So why don't we start with the employment services?
I move to approve the employment services report as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Kurth, a second by Mr. Helmer to approve. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed? Motion passes. And then we have discussed referral bonuses. Actually, I'm sorry, approve the referral bonus.
I move to approve the referral bonuses as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Helmer and a motion by Mr. Kurth and a second by Mr. Helmer. All those in favor, raise your right hands. All those opposed? Motion passes. And then we have
I got it.
Go ahead, take it away.
I move to approve the contract negotiations regarding naming rights to the facilities as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Kurth and a second by Mr. Seidel to approve. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed? Motion passes. Then we have future meetings and dates. Board meetings are generally held the second and fourth Mondays, beginning at 7:00 p.m. in the Eisenhower Commons, unless noted otherwise. Our next meeting is March 28th, and then we have April 11th, which includes a building tour at Eisenhower, and then April 25th, and it's preceded at 5:30 by a finance committee meeting. Other important dates to remember is that spring break is coming up, March 21st through 25th, and April 5th is election day. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Helmer and a second by Mr. Kurth to adjourn. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed? Motion passes. This meeting is adjourned. Good evening.